What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're bringing it back to our Saw marathon of films with the 7th film in the series, Saw 7, aka Saw 3D, the final chapter, even though it's not the real final chapter. As I mentioned in my last review, I would be watching this film in 3D, and if you have the ability to see it in 3D, I implore you to do just that. It's simply the best way to watch the movie, as it was intended to go out with a third-dimensional bang. You can't get away from it. You watch it and you know you're missing something if you have to watch it in 2D, because they're, pointing all this stuff at the screen, and that's the main problem with 3D horror sequels. That they just don't work as well from the standard 2D version that most people are going to watch. So it becomes a bit of a gimmick film. And Saw 3D is most definitely a gimmick film. Thankfully, I had the ability to actually watch it the way it was meant to be seen, but in the end, does that actually help it? The sequel's seemingly omnipotent ability to make sequels forever ends here. Let's get cracking. This review is brought to you by the word of the day, omnipotent, having absolute power over all, aka almighty. Saw 3D closes out the original chapter of the Jigsaw killings when a man who claimed and lied to be a Jigsaw victim for fame and notoriety is chosen by the real Jigsaw killer, Mark Hoffman, to prove he really has what it takes to be a survivor and make his way to his wife for the ultimate test. Meanwhile, Hoffman is hunting Jigsaw's late wife, who tried to kill him in the last film. First of all, I hardly consider this a Saw movie. For the first time in the series, it just atmospherically does not feel like any of the others. It's visually brighter, the gore itself is a lot less believable, the blood is bright red. I think where the series would typically go for practical effects and makeup for the gore, this film went full CGI for everything. Production quality itself is B-horror movie bad. I feel like I knew right when the film began that it would be the worst Saw movie out of the bunch, because Saw 6 wasn't great either. Saw 6 is still the most forgettable film in the series, but Saw 6 still felt like Saw. It still felt like it belonged in that same universe that constantly expanded in a very interesting way, even if there was plot holes. Now, as I mentioned, Saw 3D is a film that I remembered more than 6. Why? Well, a few things pop out. First of all, the fact that it's 3D pops out for obvious reasons. But there's also a scene with the late Chester Bennington, which is really tense to watch, and the main victim of this film is played by Sean Patrick Flanery, which you might recognize from the Boondock Saints films. I also recognize him from the Dead Zone TV show, which I really enjoy, as well as the fact that I've met the guy in person. I've gotten his signature, so it was going to be hard for me to forget his role in this film. If I wasn't familiar with those roles, though, I probably would consider Saw 3 to be forgettable too, because the actual story, not great. I mean, you usually have these villains that Jigsaw goes after that are always a threat to humanity, as they prey on those weaker and less fortunate than themselves. This victim just made a false claim, so he wasn't actually hurting anybody but Jigsaw's pride, which is one of the greatest reasons for the series just to end here, because Jigsaw was getting further and further away from his initial ideologies, those things that made him such a great horror icon to begin with. I know the series doesn't actually end here, but the initial run did. Let's talk about that final score for a minute. I've already mentioned that this is easily the worst film in the series, but just how much? From an unbiased, technical vantage point, as I've said before, stuff stood out as bad. They took a step away from those practical effects that worked so well for them in the past, and instead chose to go a full CGI route that just looked pretty fake, was way too bright a majority of the time, and atmospherically it just doesn't feel like Saw anymore. So that unbiased score is 52%. And my biased score is only slightly higher because I still consider this series to be a guilty pleasure one, and I'm a fan of Sean Patrick Flanery, so I will still enjoy it more than most would, and that score is 64%. When we average the two scores together, we get a final score of 58%, 58 out of 100 possible stars, granting Saw 3D with a letter grade of D, now just narrowly escaping a failing letter grade. My next Saw review will be Jigsaw, which technically I've already reviewed on my channel before, but that was way back when I first started my channel and my reviews were really boring, and heck, my thoughts on it could change anyway. So I guess we'll find out what I think of it next time, so make sure that you don't miss out. Subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to be notified when that review comes out. For now though, let me know your thoughts on this 3D version of Saw. Are you a fan of 3D films, 3D horror films specifically? And if so, did you like this final Saw film before they picked it right back up with Jigsaw? Let me know below, and until next time, peace out!